All right.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to our fall schedule of the Virtual Fridays Dire Literary Series. And tonight, my guest is Jonathan Papernick. And let me tell you a little bit about, let me show you a little bit about John. He is born and raised in Toronto, is author of 2 short story collections, The Ascent of Eli Israel and There Is No Other, and 3 novels, his most recent being I Am the Beloved. He serves as senior writer in residence at the Writing, Literature, and Publishing Department at Emerson, and it's up there. You all can read it yourself. There's some great stuff in there, and you can go to johnpapernick.com to find out more information about his books and about the press and all kinds of things, anything having to do with John. John, thank you for being here. I know that you're really under the weather today, and I feel I might have guilted you into coming.
Well, no, I mean, I am feeling a little bit better. If it was yesterday, it would have been out of the question. I couldn't have moved. I mean, I was just in bed all day. I felt like I was run over by a truck driven by a linebacker. I mean, that's how bad it was. So I'm a fair bit better today. So I was able to, participate.
So did the linebacker create like extra weight to increase the force of the truck, or?
Absolutely. It's just, it's an extended metaphor, I guess, or a multiplied metaphor or something.
Well, you have a new novel out, I Am My Beloved. And tell me a little something about it. I know that you're really super proud of this book.
Yeah, well, there it is. I think they did a really beautiful cover for just a beautiful book. It's published by The Story Plant. And yeah, it's a book that most of my early work deals with strong Jewish themes. There's a lot of violence in it, deals with a lot of extremism. I wanted to write a book that didn't have that kind of nastiness, maybe something that you didn't feel you needed a shower after reading. So I wanted to write a love story, and it came out as a polyamorous love story where a couple decides to open their marriage and they end up falling in love with different people, and then the struggle to have a child. And it's a book that really kind of leaned into my softer side. There was a lot of humor in it. There are no villains, even though people hurt each other, but not out of bad motives. And I just wanted to write a very human story that kind of showed, kind of peeled back the curtain on a form of relationship that maybe a lot of people aren't familiar with, and to do it with respect and not with titillation, but to write a book that was still a sexy book without being a porny book. A book about a lifestyle that many of us don't necessarily know much about without judging it one way or the other, which is sort of what I do with all of my writing. I try to have a more neutral lens without passing a judgment on certain aspects.
Now, since you said that you wrote a lot of gritty books before this, did you find it difficult to do an about face?
No, actually I didn't. I just think that this had been dormant in me for a long time. I mean, my previous book was published in 2015. It was called The Book of Stone, and it was a book that took me a long time to write. I actually published it 8 years earlier under a different title with like 30,000 fewer words and 50,000 words pulled out. It was like a completely different version. So that was a book that I lived with for a long time, and it was very dark and very challenging and hard to live in the head of somebody who was so troubled. So I think sometimes, and maybe DeWitt, you've been writing a long time as well, you can recognize this, that you start to take on the mood of the character you're writing in a little bit. So when you're writing a dark book for a long time, you see things through a darker lens. When you write a happier book, it provides a different kind of self-therapeutic effect to it. It's good for you to write. There's also a benefit to writing scary, horrible stuff because it also purges that from you. But just through the lens of being in the head of this character, it's so much nicer to be in the head of somebody who's not a psychotic.
When you formulated the book in your head, did you initially say, "Hey, I'm going to write a love story"? You had totally blank page, and if you did it that way, when did you decide to have it with two couples?
Right at the very beginning, I knew it was going to be a polyamorous love story, and I knew within about a week it was going to be called I Am My Beloved's. It also started out as a bit of a study of attachment theory, something that had become a little bit more aware of. And I realized, these three basic attachment styles. My main character is very anxiously attached. And I wanted to create his wife as somebody who was a more securely attached person, than his girlfriend and lover to be someone who was more avoidant, and just to kind of put these dynamics together. And as I kind of went through various drafts of the novel, some of that slipped away, so it didn't end up feeling didactic, like I was trying to make a point, and they just came off as normal characters. I think we all have various types of attachment to varying degrees, but yeah, so it started out as an exploration of attachment theory through a polyamorous love story, and that was the genesis.
So do you find that you plot when you write a novel, do you have basically it all plotted out in advance? Because I've heard that with some writers, the book kind of takes its own life from where you first conceive it, and you just kind of allow it to go. So are you more of a planner or a plotter?
No, I'm a seat of the pants person, I think, for the most part. I'm actually writing a follow-up novel to I Am My Beloved's right now. I've got 60,000 words, and I still don't know. I kind of know where I want it to end, sort of, but I'm not quite sure how I'm going to get it there. So basically what I did with I Am My Beloved's, and to some degree with the book I'm writing now, is you just put people in conflict and follow the conflict to the next logical point. So the conflict can drive the story, and that can reveal to you what comes next, even if you couldn't imagine it beforehand. I think there's a famous quote by perhaps Bernard Malamud, but I'm not sure. And I very much follow this way of writing, that you can, drive a car on a dark highway at night with your headlights on. You can only see 20 feet ahead of you, but you can make the entire journey that way. So I think I'm kind of like, I know what's going to be in the next 20 feet, and I'll know what comes after that after I get this 20 feet down. So that's kind of my process of writing. Sometimes there's some vague outlines, but yeah.
So was it helpful? You're writing a sequel. Was it helpful that you loved the characters, or did it matter whether you even liked the characters?
I don't know. Well, this book is told by the point of view of Ben Seidel, the husband. And I see the other John's got some comments, which, Tim, if you want to ask them to me at some point, because I can't keep up with them. Definitely.
Yeah,
yeah. Want to make sure questions. But I just lost track of the question again. Oh yeah, do I love them? So the sequel is, I have two perspective characters, Ben and his wife Shira. But Shira's about 70% of the novel so far, and I just love inhabiting her. She was kind of an unheard voice in the previous novel, and to make her come to life, I feel so connected to her, even more so than I did to Ben. And I think that's a really amazing thing to merge so strongly with these characters you're creating, because they're real to me now.
So John did ask a question in the chat. How did you do research on attachment theory?
The easy way. Basically got like 3 self-help attachment theory books on Amazon.com and read them. And it gave me enough. I did try to buy like one of the books on attachment theory, but it was like an academic book. I read like a page and I was like, no, not going to do it. So I don't know, self-help books are really helpful as a shortcut to make you, because sometimes I could take a little bit of information and suddenly it snowballs into knowing a lot more. It just takes you places. So yeah, like 2 or 3 books on attachment theory that were like self-help books on Amazon for $12. And it was because I really saw my entire life through a lens of attachment. So I was kind of working out my own understandings through these lenses here.
Now, even though you're in Rhode Island now, you've had your feet firmly in Massachusetts, Boston writers scene, and you teach at Emerson. So what's it like being a writer in Boston?
Writer in Boston? That's a really good question. You may not like the answer, though. I mean, no, it's fine. It may not. I mean, look. First of all,
who am I to judge?
Well, there's multiple things. Number one, the best thing about Boston to me is Emerson. I love being part of such an institution. And I've been there 16 years, and it's just been an amazing thing. And but I don't find a lot of community out of that. But I do like teaching. I think teaching helps, make yourself a better writer by articulating how things might be more effective. Because, I'm 51 years old, but I still consider myself a student of writing. So as you kind of go through teaching things, like, oh shit, yeah, maybe, yeah, that works for me too. But I find Boston to be a very, very cold and lonely city, frankly. I mean, I've met you there, but I find it very hard to connect with the people in the Boston writing scene.
Yeah, we've connected, even though I'm a cold and lonely person.
Well, I remember actually Tim being at a book launch with you, and we were completely ignored. And I spoke to you the whole night, and it was great. But I had people I'd seen around for years just turn their backs to me. I was like, I don't like that. And I think the important thing about writing is the writing that you do. And none of the other stuff really matters. I'll make my friends elsewhere. Yeah, Boston's a strange place. And I think Providence has a much more of the vibe that I like. It just seems a little weirder, a little less uptight. And that works for me. I like weird.
Now, you've appeared at my diary series as a live event 2, maybe 3 times. So I'm going to ask you, do you like Zoom events?
Huh? Do I like Zoom? Well, there's no way I was going anywhere tonight. So for tonight's purpose, Zoom is great. But I mean, I knew the old you when you first did the dire things, and that was a different scene altogether.
Yeah, that was a totally different person. That was crazy. Those were wild nights.
I brought my dad to one of those, and he's never stopped talking about it. He was so amazed. My dad's very kind of like an uptight Canadian dude, but he was like, wow, and they're like making margaritas, and so yeah.
So that was a dire de Mayo. So we're making margaritas. All right. Yeah, I remember that. In fact, there was a guy that walked in off the street that didn't even care about literature. He just came in because he saw the blender.
Hey, I can't blame him, but I get it.
And so you're the senior writer in residence at the Writing, Literature, and Publishing Department at Emerson. So what do you tell students about the state of publishing today?
Well, I just want to clarify, I'm a senior writer in residence. I'm not like the only one. It's like everyone's like bowing down to me. And there's a new level of senior writer 2 now, which is even above that. But that's a complicated process and whatever. But yeah, I'm a senior writer in residence. So what I tell people about the publishing world, I tell them initially not to think about it, really just to think about the craft. Especially when I teach some of my graduate students, they're all about the pitch they want to give for an agent and what the book cover might look like, and if they're going to get sensitivity readers so they don't get canceled. I'm like, none of that matters right now. What matters is that you write a good book, because I think too many people put that other thing ahead, and the thing never gets done. I mean, I got my MFA 22 years ago, and only a handful of those people ever kept writing. So it takes a long time to make these things happen, and it's never going to get there if the craft isn't good. So I don't know a lot about publishing right now, except that it's difficult. I know that, there's much more consolidation with the big publishers. Precious few get lots of money, and most of us get no money at all, or a little bit. Reviews are harder to come by. Agents are hard to get. Agents want more from you before they'll even. I mean, if you were to apply to 10 agents, all 10 agents might want 10 different things. They might say, I need a 3-page summary of your entire novel. I need this, and that, and a marketing plan. Somebody else might say something different. And so it's a lot of work to have somebody turn around and say, sorry, it's not for us. So there's a lot of hours of work you're asked to put in, but I don't think people are necessarily given the respect their work deserves for that. Because if you're going to ask somebody to spend all that time, a form letter is not okay.
So are you recommending or not recommending the agent route?
Well, if you can get one, I think it's great. I've had 2 agents. I currently do not have one. My second agent basically left the agency with no forwarding address. And I figured, well, that was a sign. I'm not going to follow him. And I thought I'd get another agent for this book, because this was actually written to be commercial in the sense that my previous books were very hard-hitting. Sometimes I think people might have felt they needed a doctorate in Jewish studies to fully understand things. Whereas this book, it presents a more kind of accessible Judaism. It's off to the side, where people don't feel intimidated by it. So I was turned down by 60 agents over COVID, and it led me spiraling into a depression because I couldn't believe it. I thought I'd finally written the book that was going to be really appealing to people, and everyone who read it loved it, and people were talking about it would make a good streaming series, and then just to have, the worst part is when agents don't get back to you at all, and that happened with about a third of them. They just didn't respond. So if you can get an agent, I say go for it, because they can open a lot more doors than you. So, for example, without an agent, I could not submit this book to a lot of publishers because the big publishers only take agented stuff. But I reached out to I guess, a friend and mentor or guardian angel. I'm not sure how you describe her, the writer Caroline Levitt, who's from Waltham originally. And
we had her here.
She's the best. I mean, she's so kind. And, when we were talking before about the writing community, I know a lot of kind writers, but not just in Boston, from all over. And Caroline's a great example of a really kind and giving person. And she went above and beyond. She said, do you know this person who runs this publisher? I said, no. She says, well, use my name and write to him. And I did. And right away he said, yeah, I'll take a look. And within a week, he had read what I had and said, send me the rest of it. If it's just like this, I want to publish it. And we ended up doing a 3-book contract. So, you're not going to make a lot of money at it, and it's going to be very hard to sell books. It's getting harder and harder to sell books because it's hard to get reviews, and you go to readings and people don't buy the book. But you write because you have to. I mean, I keep saying, like, why the hell do I do this? I'm writing a book for 80 people to read. But then I'm like, well, what else am I good at? And then the other point, which is even more important, I think, is, and this makes me understand a little bit more, like those people that do the New York Times crossword, how much fun they have at that. Well, I could sit alone in a room for 2 hours writing, and it provides that similar kind of joy or stimulation. So there is value even if you rip it up and throw it in the garbage right afterwards, because that way that you're engaging with yourself, because you are engaging with yourself. We're like bifurcated. There's like the forward facing us, and then the subconscious, which is all that genius stuff that we can only access when we're writing or doing some other thing in the arts.
DeWitt has a question. Are any of your former students agents yet?
Yeah, they are actually. And I actually got turned down by one of them. But she's
what grade did she get in your class?
An A. No, she was good. I mean, this was, but again, you want someone to take you because it bowls them over, not out of obligation. But I have, for my very first class at Emerson back in 2007, I had a student in that class who published her second book this year, and it was a bestseller, and is going to be turned into a streaming series and has been translated all over. So
while you have that drink, that was going to be my follow-up question. So what's that student's name? And you also do manuscript editing and coaching. So between all of this, who is the person that you've worked with or have you mentored that you're the most proud of?
I'm immensely proud of Sarah Novich. That's the person. She wrote a book called Girl at War, and then a new book out called True Biz. She was 19 years old, and she walked into my classroom, and it was her first writing class. Somebody else was supposed to teach that class, but I guess they didn't, and I was teaching part-time. And she wrote a story, and I was very encouraging. She said she never thought that she could be a writer. She didn't know that was something that she could do. And, she ended up taking my class again and did her thesis with me. And we're still close friends today. Just having her say that she actually said she would have left Emerson College altogether if it wasn't for my class. And that meant a lot to me because I was brand new there. I was a new teacher. As good as anybody thought I was back then. I couldn't have been that good because I know I've gotten so much better. The last 3 years, I've become exponentially a better teacher. You get better at these things. You get better understanding what the students need. And those needs have changed a lot over the last decade. I mean, my last semester there, I focused heavily on mental health and wellness and really framed everything in that framework. And the students thrived as a result. And I think so many students are being left behind. We have a mental health crisis right now. And I'm trying to do my best to kind of understand that, always be empathetic to that, And they really seem to appreciate that more than anything else. And so, and I guess getting older as well, the older you get, the more you feel avuncular or like a mentor. When you're a young teacher, there's probably a different kind of youthful arrogance that thankfully goes away when you get older, I hope.
All right, let's wrap this up a little bit with something a little fun. I saw a post, as someone has been referred to as Timothy Gager. I saw a post of yours about the pronunciation of your name, which is, pretty straightforward. So what is your name end up being?
Well, it's Papernick, but people are getting it wrong at a three out of 4 time basis right now. It's like accelerating. And it's driven me to the point of madness because sometimes you'll go into a reading. I mean, literally, I was in New York in the summer and I said, my name's pronounced Papernick. When you introduce me, it's got to be Papernick. So of course, gets up there in front of the whole audience, says John Papernick. And like, I don't know how to act gracefully about this because I want to correct them. I can't let it stand. But then the first thing that comes out of your mouth is being that dick who is correcting something. So I'm still trying to figure that out. And I mean, yeah, as I was sick in bed yesterday, there was this long Facebook thread about, it seems like many, 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 many people have problems with their names being mispronounced, even names I wouldn't imagine could be said wrong. But yet it does bother me immensely. So I probably still need some further growing up to do.
I always say, oh, by the way, it's Gager. Not that it matters. If people want to buy my book, it can be Gager, Gager, or like, hey, asshole, as long as they buy the book, right?
Well, I think getting your name pronounced wrong is inexcusable. I don't know how they would get it wrong.
Everyone gets my name wrong. It's about a 1% success rate.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's a real pleasure talking to you. And even though I love having people come on and read, I got to spend an extra 15 minutes with you in the interview part of it. So that was really awesome. And I really appreciate your answers and your insights. And people want more information. Here is johnpapernick.com. You can see his books. And this is the one he was talking about tonight, I Am My Beloveds. And he also talked about the Book of Stone and any of his other books. And there's all kinds of stuff and his news and editorials. It's a really kind of slick web page as it zips around. So definitely go check that out and definitely check out his books. So John, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thanks, Tim. Do you mind if I bail so I can get back in bed, or did you want me to hang around and ask you all questions?
No, you're a sick man tonight. So definitely go back to bed. I appreciate you leaving the bed to come share your time with us.
No, I appreciate it. It was fun, but I'm definitely going back to bed now. So Thank you for coming, everyone. Night.
And folks on the stream, if you would like to come in, use the Zoom link that we have posted. You can come in and read the open mic, or you can, if you want to hear the very end of Joe the Salamander, come on in. I'll gladly welcome you in. But thanks for anyone that watched it in the Facebook group. And if you don't come in, well, good night to you.